Part 1. The Pain, the Good Person Trap. Have you ever felt invisible? Not in a literal sense, of course. People see you, they greet you, they talk to you. But it's a different kind of invisibility. A quiet ache in your soul that comes from feeling overlooked, taken for granted, like a ghost in your own life, whose presence is only truly noted when it's needed for something. You know the feeling. You're in a meeting, you share an idea, and it's met with silence. 10 minutes later, someone else rephrases your exact point, and suddenly, it's brilliant. The room erupts in agreement, and you just sit there, invisible. Or it's the friend who only calls when their car breaks down, when they need to vent about their relationship, when they need a favor. You are their emergency contact, their reliable bedrock. You listen, you help, you give. And when the crisis is over, you disappear back into the background until the next emergency. You are a utility, not a treasure. This isn't a random misfortune. It's a pattern. And it's a pattern you've likely experienced in your work, your friendships, and maybe even your most intimate relationships. You give and give, hoping that your value will finally be recognized. You make yourself available. You answer every call. You reply to every text immediately. You are the dependable one, the helpful one. You are the good person. And that right there is the trap. We call it the good person trap. It's a silent contract you never signed, a set of rules you were taught to follow that secretly works against you. From our earliest days, we were taught a simple, seemingly noble philosophy. Be nice, be helpful, be accommodating. Always say yes. We were told this was the path to being loved, respected, and valued. But it is the most profound lie we have ever been told. This path doesn't lead to respect. It leads to exhaustion. It doesn't build your value. It slowly erodes it until there's almost nothing left. Think of it this way. What is the one thing that has no value in a flood? A single drop of water. When you make your time, your energy, and your presence endlessly available, you become that single drop of water in a flood of your own making. You become common, and the human soul, by its very nature, does not prize what is common. This isn't about becoming selfish or unkind. This is about understanding a fundamental truth of the human spirit. Your desire to help, to serve, to be there for others, it comes from a beautiful place. But the good person trap takes that noble impulse and turns it into a mechanism for your own devaluation. It convinces you that your worth is measured by your accessibility. The more available you are, the better you must be. But the great observers of the human soul, from ancient philosophers to pioneers like Carl Jung, understood a secret. They knew that human beings are creatures of desire, of mystery, of depth. We are drawn not to what is easy and abundant, but to what is rare, what has substance, what we must strive to understand. Now, I want you to ask yourself a difficult question, and be honest. What if I told you that your constant availability, your eagerness to please, your unfailing reliability, is not your greatest virtue? What if I told you that it is the very reason you feel invisible, the root cause of you being taken for granted? What if the best parts of your character, filtered through the lens of constant availability, have become your deepest liability? This might sound harsh. It might even sound wrong. It goes against everything we've been taught. But it is the key to unlocking the respect and recognition you've been searching for. There is a law, not a law of physics, but of the human psyche, a fundamental principle that governs perceived value, attraction, and respect. And your constant availability has been violating this law every single day of your life without you even knowing it. Today, we are going to change that. We are not just going to learn this law, we are going to learn how to master it, and in doing so, reclaim the profound worth that has been there all along, just waiting to be seen. Part 2. The Paradox. Why the world is built this way. It feels backward, doesn't it? The idea that being good, helpful, and available could somehow be the source of your pain. It defies logic. It defies everything you've been taught about being a decent human being. But to understand this, you must first understand a fundamental and often uncomfortable law of human nature. Our minds, our souls, our very instincts operate on a strange and powerful paradox. We do not value what is endlessly abundant. This isn't a cynical opinion. It is the deep architecture of the human spirit. Think about the most basic elements. We walk on dirt and gravel every day. We barely notice it. Yet a diamond, which is just a specific arrangement of carbon, is treasured, fought over, and revered. Why? Because it is rare. Gold is not valuable because it is shiny. It is valuable because there is so little of it compared to sand. The most crucial example is water. In a city with perfect plumbing, a glass of water is worth almost nothing. But to a person lost in the desert, that same glass of water is worth more than all the gold in the world. Its value is not in the water itself, but in its scarcity. This principle doesn't just apply to things, it applies to people. It applies to you. When you make your time, your energy, and your attention constantly available, you are, in the eyes of the world, turning yourself from a diamond into gravel. You are turning yourself from a glass of water in the desert into a flood. Your innate worth doesn't change, but its perceived value plummets. This is where the wisdom of psychology, especially the deep insights of Carl Jung, becomes our guide. Jung spoke of the parts of ourselves that are unseen, the parts that live in the shadows of our personality. It is in these unseen spaces, in this mystery, that fascination is born. When you are less available, you create a space, a vacuum. And the human imagination cannot stand a vacuum. People begin to fill that space with their own thoughts. What are they doing? What are they thinking? Their time must be important. Your absence forces them to consider your life beyond their own needs. It forces them to build a version of you in their mind that is complex, independent, and occupied with purpose. Your worth grows not just because of what you do when you are present, but because of what they imagine you are doing when you are not. Think of the artist who disappears for 5 years and returns with a masterpiece. The world doesn't resent their absence. It magnifies their return. Think of the leader whose words are few but carefully chosen. Every sentence carries immense weight. This is not a call for arrogance or manipulation. This is the crucial point. This isn't about playing games or pretending to be busy. It is about a profound act of self-respect. It's about a responsible stewardship of your own spirit, your time, your focus, your emotional energy. These are the most precious, non-renewable resources you possess. To give them away indiscriminately is not kindness. It is poor management of the sacred gift that is your life. Caring for your own inner world, cultivating your own garden is not selfishness. It is a prerequisite for genuine service. You cannot pour into others from an empty vessel. By making your own life your own goals, and your own spiritual well-being a priority, you naturally become less available. This scarcity is not artificial. It is the real and honest result of a life lived with purpose. And here is the uncomfortable truth that will change how you see every interaction from now on. When you instantly reply to every message, you are subconsciously communicating, whatever I was doing is less important than your interruption. When you immediately say yes to every request without checking your own capacity, you are telling the other person, my energy reserves are infinite, and your needs are my top priority. You are training them day by day, interaction by interaction, to see you as a public utility, always on, always available, and therefore common. You are slowly poisoning your own value in their eyes. You are participating in your own invisibility. This is the paradox. The world doesn't value you less because you are a bad person. It values you less because you are trying too hard to be a good one in a way that goes against the very grain of human nature. And this understanding is the first step to taking your power back. Part 3. The Revelation. The Jungian Law of Value. We have walked through the quiet pain of feeling overlooked. We have explored the strange paradox that the world doesn't treasure what is always available. We see the outlines of a powerful force at play, a hidden current that shapes our social world. But a phenomenon without a name is like a ghost you cannot grasp. It remains a mystery, a vague feeling you can't control. To master a force, you must first name it. You must bring it out of the shadows and into the light. And so, we arrive at the core of our journey today. This isn't just an observation or a helpful tip. It is a fundamental principle of human psychology, a law as real in its own domain as gravity is in the physical world. We call it the Jungian law of value. And it is this: a person's perceived worth is directly proportional to the depth of the space they create in their absence. Let's say that again, so it sinks into the very foundation of your understanding. A person's perceived worth is directly proportional to the depth of the space they create in their absence. This law is the secret key. It explains everything. It explains why the mysterious person is so alluring, why the busy expert is so respected, why the quiet leader's words carry so much weight. The crucial word here is space. The space you create when you are not immediately available is not empty. It is a canvas, and upon that canvas, others project their thoughts, their respect, their curiosity, and their imagination. When you are always there, you deny them this canvas, you give them the finished painting, and there is nothing left for them to do but consume it and move on. But when you create that sacred space by focusing on your own purpose, your own growth, your own inner world, that space becomes filled with a powerful energy. Think of it in the most important areas of life. In relationships, this law is the difference between suffocating dependency and profound attraction. The person who has their own life, their own passions, their own mission, is not playing hard to get. They are hard to get because their time is genuinely valuable to them. Their absence isn't a tactic. It's a reflection of a rich inner life. And the time they do choose to give you feels like a gift, not an expectation. This creates a deep and lasting respect. In your career, this law separates the indispensable expert from the replaceable cog in the machine. The employee who answers emails at 11 p.m. sends a clear signal, my time is not my own. But the expert who says, I am available for meetings between 2 and 4 p.m. as I reserve my mornings for deep, focused work is creating a boundary. That boundary doesn't signal arrogance. It signals that their time produces immense value and it must be protected. Their unavailability is the very proof of their worth. Access to them becomes a privilege. Even in art and wisdom, the law holds true. The musician who releases an album every 6 months risks becoming background noise. The one who spends years in silence, honing their craft, and emerges with a masterpiece creates an event. We value their creation more because we have felt the space of their absence. We have had time to hunger for their return. This is not a call to become cold, distant, or aloof. That is a shallow imitation of the real thing. This is a call to something far deeper. It is a call to build a life so full of purpose, so rich with meaning, so dedicated to your own growth, be it spiritual, intellectual, or creative, that your availability naturally becomes a precious resource. It's about responsible self-stewardship. It's about honoring the life you have been given by investing in it fully. The scarcity this creates is not artificial. It is authentic. It is the natural result of a person who respects themselves and their calling. But you must understand this law is neutral. It is a tool. And like any powerful tool, it can be used for creation or for control. And the most chilling part is that the most successful brands, the most persuasive leaders, and the most subtle manipulators have understood this law for centuries. Part 4. The dark side. How the world uses this against you. You now hold the key. You understand the Jungian law of value. You see how scarcity, space, and absence create perceived worth. It feels like a secret you've unlocked for your own personal growth, a tool for building a better life. And that is true, but it is only half the story. The other half is darker, because while you are just learning this law, there are forces in the world that have mastered it. They are not using it to build a life of authentic purpose. They are using it as a weapon of influence, of control, of manipulation. And its primary target is you. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It is the fundamental operating manual for modern marketing, toxic relationships, and corporate control. Once you see it, you will never be able to unsee it. Consider the world of romance and relationships. Have you ever heard of the hot and cold dynamic? The person who showers you with affection one day, making you feel like the center of the universe, and then pulls away the next, becoming distant and unavailable? This is not random emotional inconsistency. It is a deliberate, often subconscious application of the Jungian law of value. Their intense presence makes you feel valued, then their sudden absence creates a painful void, a space. Your mind rushes to fill that space with questions. What did I do wrong? Do they still like me? You start to crave their validation, their return. They are weaponizing your own psychology against you, manufacturing scarcity to make their affection feel more valuable than it actually is. They are creating an addiction, and they are the dealer. Now look at the world of commerce. Every limited time offer, every only 3 left in stock, every exclusive access sales pitch is a direct assault on this psychological trigger. Marketers know that if a product is always available, you will think about buying it later. But by creating artificial scarcity, they create urgency. They manufacture a fear of loss. The value of the product isn't just in what it does. It's in the idea that you might not be able to have it. They are not just selling you a thing. They are selling you the feeling of overcoming scarcity. But perhaps the most insidious use of this law is in the corporate world. You might think, that a company wants its best employees to be powerful and respected, but what many systems actually want is for you to be compliant, predictable, and replaceable. And what is the easiest way to devalue a human being? By destroying any and all scarcity of their time. The culture of being on call 24/7, the endless notifications, the expectation of immediate email replies, this isn't about productivity. It is about control. It is a system designed to make your time feel infinite and therefore worthless. By conditioning you to be constantly available, they erase the sacred boundaries around your life. They turn you from a valued expert into a public utility that they own. The less space you have for your own life, the less power you have, and the more dependent you become on them for your sense of worth. Social media platforms are masters of this. They are designed to create the illusion of constant connection, constant availability. But what they truly do is commodify your attention. You become a product that is always on the shelf, available for consumption at any moment, diluting your own mystery and depth with every post and every immediate reaction. The manipulators, the advertisers, the toxic systems, they know this law. They understand it intuitively, and they are praying you never figure it out. They want you to believe that your value lies in being a team player who is always on. They want you to be the good friend who drops everything for their slightest need. They want you to be the perfect partner who has no life outside of the relationship. They want you to remain convenient, available, and therefore inexpensive. But their game is over. It is over because today you have seen the invisible strings. You have been given the rule book they use against you. And when you know the rules, you can stop being a pawn in their game. You can start playing your own. This is not just about your personal development anymore. This is about your liberation. It is time to stop participating in your own devaluation. It is time to take your power back. Part 5. Your Revolution. The Practical Action Plan. We have journeyed into the dark woods and seen how the world uses this powerful law against you. The anger you might feel is justified. The sense of revelation is real. But knowledge without action is merely a story you tell yourself. True power comes from turning that knowledge into a new way of living. This is not about becoming a manipulator. It is not about playing games or becoming cold and calculating. That is the path of the empty, a hollow imitation of true strength. Your revolution is something far more profound. It is a revolution of authenticity. Here is the ultimate secret, the key that turns this law from a weapon used against you into a tool for your own liberation. The goal is not to pretend to be unavailable. The goal is to build a life so meaningful, so full of your own purpose, that your unavailability becomes an honest and natural consequence. Your scarcity should not come from a tactic, but from a truth. The truth that your time on this earth is finite and sacred, and you have chosen to dedicate it to things that matter. To your growth, your craft, your family, your faith. This is not selfishness. It is the highest form of responsibility. It is about filling your own cup so completely that what spills over for others is pure, not resentful. It's about becoming a deep well, not a shallow puddle. So, how do we begin this revolution today? Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. It begins with 3 simple yet powerful disciplines. First, you must create your sacred space. This is non-negotiable. Look at your week and carve out blocks of time that belong only to you and your highest calling. This could be an hour of prayer or meditation in the morning, 2 evenings a week dedicated to learning a new skill, or a weekend afternoon spent in nature without your phone. During these sacred hours, you are completely unavailable to the world. This is not free time. It is dedicated time. By doing this, you are sending the most powerful signal first to yourself and then to the world. My inner life matters. My purpose is a priority. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. When you honor your own time, the world will begin to honor it too. Second, master the power of the pause. We live in a culture of instant response, and it is killing our value. From now on, you will introduce a deliberate pause into your communications. Do not answer a text message the second you receive it. Do not pick up the phone on the first ring. Do not reply to an email within minutes. This small delay, this moment of silence, is where the magic happens. It breaks the cycle of neediness and reactivity. It creates that tiny canvas of space where the other person's mind has a moment to wonder, what important thing are they doing? It subtly repositions you from someone who is waiting by the phone to someone who has a life beyond the phone. It is a small act of discipline that reaps enormous rewards in perceived worth. Third, replace yes with one powerful phrase. The automatic yes is the signature of the good person trap. Your new response, when asked for your time or energy, is this: let me check my schedule. This phrase is a masterpiece of respectful boundary setting. It is not a no. It is not a yes. It is a declaration that your time is a managed resource, not an open buffet. It communicates that you have priorities, commitments, and a life that requires consideration. It immediately elevates your status from someone whose time is assumed to someone whose time must be requested. It is the gentle but firm foundation upon which your new, valued self is built. Your worth is not, and never was, a measure of your convenience to others. Your worth is inherent, a reflection of the unique spark within you. Your mission now is to build a life that honors that spark. Stop being an open book that anyone can read at any time. Become the masterpiece that people line up to catch a glimpse of. Your unavailability is not an act of ego. It is the highest form of respect for the life you were given.